Hi everybody. Tonight I want to switch gears a little bit. I've been doing a lot of organizing videos and I would like to change the subject for a while and talk about something different. And I want to warn you ahead of time that some of the things that I say might not be appropriate for little ears, so I'm going to just give you that warning in case you need to wait till later or whatever to watch this video. So I was doing a little research today and I was trying to find a statistic that I never could find, but I'm going to share with you what I did find. This is just a random year. In 1998, 460,000 people roughly died of heart attacks. And presuming that half of those people were men, that would mean, I'm looking here at my notes, 230,000 men died of heart attacks in 1998. I have no idea if this is accurate, but this is the best I could come up with, which means here's the crux of what I'm getting at. I've tried to find out how many people, or how many of those men died of heart attacks while they were having sex. And I came up with one number said 2.2% of men that have heart attacks had them while they're having sex. Another one said 0.6%. So I'm not really sure what it is. So I'm going to go with the low number, and assuming that the same, an equal number of people who have heart attacks while having sex, also the percentage would be the same as far as deaths by heart attacks having sex. I don't know if that makes any sense. But anyways, here's the number I came up with. This could be completely wrong, but here's what I came up with. 13,800 men die every year having sex. If you find a better number than that, please leave it in the comments, because I'm not trying to spread information, or misinformation I should say. I was just very curious about this fact. So maybe it's half that, maybe it's a quarter of that. So let's say a half would be like 6,500. A quarter would be somewhere in the 3,200 range. So here's why I'm bringing this up. The reason is because this was a number I got from the year 2003. I have no idea what it is right now, but in 2003, somewhere between 700 and 800 women died either during pregnancy or during childbirth. Now, of course, that can be from any number of reasons, like, car accidents and things like that during pregnancy. So the actual number of women who died while they were having a baby was, I'm sure, lower than 700 or 800 people. So let us compare that to the potential. Let's go with that really small number. 3,200 men die of heart attacks while having sex. That's like 8, 16, 24, 32. So 1/4 of the number of women died having babies, while compared to those men having sex. Now, why does this matter? I was actually imagining to myself, knowing that so many men die of heart attacks while they're having sex, what if we treated their climaxing the same way that we treat a woman's? So I understand, by the way, that this is a really controversial topic, and there's probably going to be people who freak out about what I'm sharing or what my ideas are, and that's totally fine. If this message is not for you, then please just let it just go out. You're in one ear and out the other. But I feel like there are some people out there, there's someone who needed this message just like I did, so that's why I'm sharing this with you, or starting this conversation. But I want to remind everyone that giving birth is a sexual act. In fact, it's the climax of all sexuality is having a baby. So for a man, when you are, when you're with your husband and he has an orgasm, he is, he's giving life the way that he does it. He's giving the sperm, and that's the climax of his sexuality. And so his happens frequently, although on a very small scale. And for a woman, we tend to equate her orgasm with the husband's, but that's not really it. The climax of a woman's sexuality is giving birth, because she is now giving forth the life that has been created in her. Here's where the rub is for me, is the fact that we treat women and we treat birth as though it is so dangerous, so deadly, and so terrifying. And we have been stripped of the thing that God made us to do. We've been stripped of the ability to give birth without help, to do what every average cat and dog can do. We're not allowed to do that anymore. And we choose not to do it because we're totally terrified of what might happen if we did. And I guess I was trying to think, like, what would it be like if men were treated the same way? So knowing that so many men die of heart attacks, what if we decided that when it's time to conceive a baby, just to be on the safe side, we should do this in a hospital under professional supervision? So your husband packs up his bag, and of course you have to go with him, so you pack up your bag and you head to the hospital, and you get all checked in, you get in your hospital gown, and they strap all these monitors on your husband because they want to watch his heart rate and they want to watch his blood pressure and make sure that nothing gets out of hand. And then they say, well, go ahead, it's time to begin. And of course this is uncomfortable. This is not where this should be happening, and it's very difficult to get into the mood, to get those hormones flowing. So the doctor's like, you know what, let's get you some Viagra so we can get this show on the road. So they give your husband some Viagra, and his body starts working even though his heart's not into it, and he begins. And as he's going along doing his thing, the doctor comes in or the nurse comes in, and they take his vitals and they check to make sure everything's all right and give him an update on how things are looking down there, and then they leave and let him proceed. And he stops and starts, and this goes over and over like this. And then let's say he finally is able to overcome the horrible awkwardness of all of this and is beginning to get close to the climax. But when that happens, suddenly his blood pressure starts going up and his heart rate is getting super high, and everyone is just in a panic now because he is so close to the range that now might actually trigger a heart attack, whatever their definition is of the danger zone. He is reaching the danger zone, and that's it. This is not safe. They must immediately take him in for an emergency, what is it? Obviously not a C-section, but they're gonna cut open his testicles, and they're just gonna take the sperm out that way. And of course, they're telling him it's, you know, this is not what he wants. He thinks this is not going to be pleasant. This is not how he wanted this to go. But they tell him, you know, your wife, she's not handling this very well. This Viagra-induced erection is just too much for her, and she's starting to feel stress and all that. We can't put you guys through this anymore. And so they whisk your husband away to the surgery room, and they cut open his male parts, and they extract the sperm and sew him back up. And it's all over, and he is feeling really awful. This is not at all what he was imagining when it comes to conceiving a baby. But everyone looks at him and says, you know what do you have to complain about? You're healthy, you've got, you know, we can now use the sperm to inseminate your wife, and you know, you should not be focused on the experience, because as long as you have, hopefully in the future, a healthy baby, then it doesn't really matter how it happened. And of course then they charge you like $15,000-$20,000 for this whole thing. But they assure you, under no circumstances should you ever attempt to do this outside of a hospital again. You are so close to having a heart attack, and they tell your husband, you know, next time we're going to start the Viagra sooner, and you know, maybe we should just skip that and just schedule for the spermectomy from the get-go and forget all the rest of that part. Of course, that would be ridiculous, because it just is, but yet that is how we treat birth. And the thing that makes a successful birth is the same thing that makes a successful orgasm. And God designed us as sexual creatures, and we have had our ability to birth be taken away from us by the culture that we live in, by people who want to profit off of our fear. That's one of my big things, is why I have that on my channel header about not being afraid. There's just so much of our life, we make our decisions based on fear and on things that are not truthful, and we totally lose our ability to listen to God, to work with the design that He gave us. And it's my heart's desire to help someone out there find that again. And just to clarify, I am not anti-doctor. I'm not someone who says you should never give birth in a hospital or anything like that, but I am anti putting my faith in a doctor. I just heard a verse today. What was it? We have the audio Bible always playing in our house, and I heard it. It says, I can't remember how it went. Anyways, putting your faith in God is the place it should be. But when we automatically hand over control to someone else and put our trust and our faith in a person, we're no longer listening to God. We're no longer doing what we think is the right thing. We're certainly not cooperating with His design, because the very fact that we've stepped foot out of our home means that we are now doing something different than how He designed us. Just like any other animal or bird or whatever, they don't go away from their nest to give birth. They stay in their nest. That's what the nest is for. It's for birthing babies and raising them. Tom and I have had 5 hospital births, 2 midwife-assisted home births, and 1 unassisted home birth. And hands down, our unassisted home birth was the fastest, easiest, and cheapest birth we've had, and it's the one that was the most bonding experience for us, which is, to me, one of the biggest factors of giving birth to a baby. It's kind of like a marriage, that you're welcoming this new person into your life, and how you welcome that new person really does matter. The emotional impact matters, and there's so much trauma surrounding birth that has nothing to do with the birth itself, but the experiences that are put on us while we give birth, that it's kind of sickening, especially when I think about the fact that we have had our minds compartmentalized to accept things that we'd find morally reprehensible under any other circumstances. And I guess what I mean is that under no other circumstances would I get naked and let some other man or woman look at my private parts, put their hands inside of me, put their hands on my breasts, do any of those things. But if I'm giving birth, then all of a sudden all of that becomes okay. I would never allow someone to take needles and stab my children in the feet with them, but when we give birth to a baby, we're okay. I would never let somebody screw something into my baby's head, but when I'm in labor, suddenly that becomes okay. Or, cutting. I would never let somebody cut me open under normal circumstances, but when I'm giving birth, suddenly those things become okay. And I'm not saying that there are never emergencies, because there really are emergencies, just like men really die of heart attacks. But instead of treating all people as a potential fatality, why not start treating them the way that God designed? And then, just like we teach people to look for the signs of the heart attack so they can get help when there's trouble, teach people to look for the signs when they're giving birth so that they know when there's a real problem that needs to be dealt with by someone that knows how to do that, instead of just treating everyone like a tragedy and traumatizing everyone. I am hoping that God gives me more children and that I have more opportunities to birth at home, unassisted, with just Tom and I. I have no idea what He plans for our future, but I hope to start talking about this more and share with you guys the information that I have found on birth and ways that other cultures do things that still practice home birth, just all sorts of stuff. I have learned all sorts of stuff, and I want to share that with you guys. And I just really want to encourage you to start thinking about and praying about how we give birth and how God intends us to do it. And of course, I don't mean to offend anyone or upset anyone. That is not the point. But I do really think that there are other people out there like me who do not want to participate anymore in the way things are done and want to regain that ability for ourselves. So if you're interested in continuing this conversation and you're not a subscriber, I hope you will subscribe and watch for more videos on home birth, especially unassisted home birth. And I want to just keep sharing with you the things that I have learned along my home birth experiences, and hopefully help equip you for your own future births. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again soon.